Hello and welcome to Talk a Good Game. It's to finish West Ham United 1, Aston Villa 1, a game which has been covered with VAR controversy. West Ham United having 3 goals disallowed. Well, technically 2. The whistle went before 1 hit the back of the net. Although I think that's the one that should have stood. 3 goals disallowed by West Ham, but points were shared. And that was definitely a game of 2 halves, in my opinion. We're going to be discussing the highlights and all the VAR controversy. But if you're new around here, you enjoyed the video, please do subscribe. It's free and takes 2 seconds. But also drop a like on the video by clicking a thumbs up. Helps out this video, helps out the channel, makes me happy. And I could do with some cheering up, to be honest with you, because if you said to me before the game, you'll get a point today, I would have been delighted with that. I thought we would have lost, so I would have been delighted with a point. And in some ways, I'm happy with one. I think it's still a decent result, removing the context of the match. But for some reason, I say for some reason, I know why, I'm pretty disappointed and pissed off at full time, quite frankly. I think we've dropped 2 points today, and I don't think the refereeing of the game has helped that one, actually. Now, it's not to say I disagree with every decision and every disallowed goal. I don't. The rules are the rules in some regards, but I do think there was one goal in particular which should have stood for West Ham, and the referees got this one massively wrong. Anyway, 1-0 up at half-time. We scored after half an hour. Michail and Antonio. Thought he was excellent. Thought he was excellent. Again, to be honest with you, a really good goal by West Ham. Sufal with a low cross, brave from Antonio, low diving header, beat Konsa to it at the back post. 1-0 up at half-time. I thought the tactics from David Moyes in the first 45 minutes, important, the first 45 minutes, I thought the tactics were bang on. I think we were practically perfect. You're never going to be 100% perfect in a game of Premier League football, really. But I can only recall one opportunity for Villa in the first half, and that was when Rodgers ran through the middle of the pitch, had a tame effort, easily saved by Areola. I thought we were fantastic in that first 45. I thought David Moyes outdone Unai Emery for 45 minutes. I think tactically it was bang on. The one thing that really impressed me was Jared Bowen's positioning out of possession. When we were up outside Aston Villa's box, when Martinez had the ball, Jared Bowen was stood next to Douglas Luiz for the majority of the time. It just took him out of the game for the first 45. The Villa just could not get him on the ball. He spent the entire half facing his own goal. Fantastic from the manager and fantastic from Jared Bowen. Tactically, we were superb. Pressing, I thought we were really good. I thought we pressed as a team when we did press, and when we did sit back, we sat back as a team. There was no one individual breaking the discipline, breaking his position and causing problems for us. In the first 45, I thought we were really, really good. I honestly had no complaints at halftime whatsoever. I felt that we deserved our lead. We had, while we were 1-0 up with that goal from Antonio, the 2 better opportunities in that half were from us as well. Paqueta got laid off by Jared Bowen. Should have done better, in all honesty. Souček ended up flicking it past the post, but Paqueta should have struck that one better. And the other one fell to Vladimir Sufal, probably the one guy you don't want it to fall to with the greatest of respect. Still yet to score in a West Ham shirt. Smashed it, blocked, smashed it again, out. But 2 really good chances for us that we didn't take. 1-0 at half-time, and I felt we were unlucky not to be 2-0 up, quite frankly. I thought we were just fantastic for 45 minutes. The problem was Villa were always going to be better in the second half. They were always going to improve, because while I was impressed by us, Villa were struggling. Duran up front alongside Watkins turned out to be an error by Emery. He rectified that at half-time, bringing on Diaby. They were always going to improve after the break. And this is where I think it's a game of 2 halves, because the first half I felt was all West Ham, and the second half I felt was all Aston Villa. Maybe not quite literally all of it, but you get what I mean. The majority was West Ham, and the majority was Aston Villa. Were we pinned back or did we sit back? I think there was an element of both in there, which I can understand. We're up against a really good team. But what I just said about what I was impressed with in the first half, which was stopping Douglas Luiz play, I didn't think we did that whatsoever. In the second half, I thought he was getting on the ball. So was Tielemans, in fairness, but Luiz in the second half was starting to get on the ball, starting to dictate play for Villa. They went a bit more direct, Aston Villa. They weren't afraid to go 30, 40 yards out to the wings, trying to get Bailey and Diaby into the game. I think we really struggled with it, but I do think we also started to retreat more and more and just invite Villa on and on. And the equalizer was always coming. However, the goal that annoyed me was actually in the first half. Ball in from Jared Bowen, and corner from Bowen. Antonio's on Martinez, and the referee blows up. It falls to Kudus, who then puts it into the back of the net. That whistle should not go, in my opinion. I don't think it's a foul on Martinez, but regardless, the referee should not be blowing up. He should allow that phase of play just to play out, because the ball's now alive in the 18-yarder. He should just wait and see if Villa clear it, blow up, give you a free kick. But on the off chance it lands to a West Ham player and we do something with it, then you blow up, give the free kick, and then you say to VAR, do I need to return this? Have I made an error here? To disallow that goal for a foul on Martinez, I thought was horrific. Obviously, the goal came after the whistle, so I can't have too much complaints. My complaint is that the referee blew for a foul when it was never a foul, but I don't think, even if he thought it should be, he should be allowing that phase of play to play out more. I know it's more for offsides. They allow the play to continue and then the flag goes up and they just check it. But I think in that circumstances, he could have checked that one. That's the one that annoyed me the most. We made it 2-0, or we thought we did, in the 49th minute. Michail Antonio, the ball in from Jai Bowen over on the right-hand side. Zuma sort of misses it, comes off Antonio, goes into back the net. This time there's no foul from Antonio Martinez. Martinez is all over the place. There's a bit of a small tussle and flings himself forwards, but it comes off Antonio's arm. Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm okay with this goal being disallowed because that's the rules. The rules are quite clear. If it hits the arm and it goes in, it's ruled out. I think this one's very clear that it does hit Michail Antonio on the arm. There's very little complaints from any of our players, especially Michail Antonio. So actually, I think that getting overruled was the correct thing. And then it came to substitution times. Michail Antonio was tired. It was quite obvious he was struggling. I think Paqueta was after a period of time as well. And we had to make the sub, and Ben Johnson came on. Now, I'm not necessarily against Ben Johnson coming onto the pitch. It's just moving Bowen up front. And what we were doing well in the first half, which was marking Douglas Luiz, that was gone because Bowen was the one doing that marking. Now it's gone completely. He's up front. Johnson's on the right, staying on the right-hand side. Now the two Villa centre midfielders were really dictating play and beginning to play, in my opinion. We just couldn't get near them whatsoever. They made it 1-1 in the 79th minute through Zaniolo, a break from Aston Villa. It started with a poor cross from Lucas Paqueta, truth be told. I thought it was a really poor cross from him. Was it towards Bowen, or was he trying to pick out Soufal, who was unmarked at the very back post, and it was just a really badly hit cross? Regardless, Emi Martinez came out, collected it. Aston Villa broke. And in fairness, Paqueta got all the way back into a left-back position to try and help out, but he went down that right-hand side with Diaby, who had a bit of a tussle with Alvarez. Alvarez did his best, really. Ball into Zaniolo, who prodded it into the back of the net, 1-1, and the goal was coming at this point. I think what was frustrating was you could sense a goal for Aston Villa was coming. They were on top from the kickoff in the second half, and then I think it was just a case of who and when more than anything. And Emery was throwing on attackers. Zaniolo was on, so you had him, Diaby, Bailey, Watkins up front. The centre midfielders, I think, like I said, was starting to move it around a little bit, and it was really frustrating watching it because we were struggling. We couldn't get a hold of the ball in the second half whatsoever. We couldn't string any passes together. And if we possessed a really strong counter-attacking threat throughout the second half, I'd be okay with it to some extent, but we didn't. We barely got out of our half from then on. After 1-1, then we started to go again. Kudus got a bit of a second win. We moved him over to the left-hand side, but it was an even game at this point. Now, a minor frustration before the second VAR controversy comes up is that Alvarez got booked, and to be honest, I thought it was needless from the referee. Tussle between Alvarez and Zaniolo. Zaniolo sort of trips him up. He doesn't kick him, he just trips him up, and then there's an altercation. He books Low. I don't think he needed to brandish a yellow card to either player there. I don't think he should have booked either of them. But now Alvarez has picked up his 10th yellow card of the season, so that's him suspended for 2 games. Just frustrating to see, because we've just conceded a goal. Not long after, we've now just lost Alvarez for the next 2 league games. We've already lost him for the first leg of the Europa League tie as well. So 3 games of football Alvarez is suspended for. So it's just frustrating because I thought he was fantastic today. I thought Edson Alvarez was absolutely wonderful for West Ham out there. So to lose him for 2 games in the Premier League is a huge, huge blow. And it's just, I felt it was needless from the referee. It was needless. Yeah, I've criticised Alvarez for his booking against Freiburg because I thought it was unnecessary. But this one, I don't really blame him. I don't even think it wasn't that much of a tussle. It was just a small coming together, a few words. Just leave it, let it go. But because he did that, he then had to book Kudus and Douglas Luiz as well. And then he bottled a red card because Zaniolo, time waste. Zaniolo gets rid of the ball when it's a throw to West Ham. He gets rid of the ball. Mavropanos has just been booked. Granted, Mavropanos volleyed it through the sky and out the stadium, but what did Mavropanos get booked for? Time wasting. What did Zaniolo go and do? Time waste. Where was the yellow card for Zaniolo? Well, there wasn't one because he would have had to send him off. That was a decision the referee bottled. I was pleased to see our players pull the referee up for it and say, come on, man, be consistent. You're going to book our player for time wasting. Book him for time wasting. He bottled it. I don't know this, but I would guess if Zaniolo wasn't on a yellow card, he would have booked him for what he did with that. But he didn't. He absolutely bottled it again, the referee. It just pissed me right off. Be consistent. This is what football fans ask for. Consistency. You book Mavropanos for time wasting, but you've got to book Zaniolo for time wasting as well. And if he gets sent off for it, well, that's his fault for being stupid and throwing the ball away whilst on a yellow card. The referee bottled it. Did it have an impact on the rest of the game? No. He would have got sent off with about 2 minutes to go. It wouldn't have been a big deal. It wouldn't have changed anything. But the referee bottled it. Moving on then, in the 96th minute, we had it in the back of the net. We thought we might have just gone and won the game 2-1. Turns out we didn't. A real scrappy one. I'll be honest with you. I think it hit Souček in the arm. It's harsh. Does he mean it? No. Is there any intention? No. The rules are the rules, though. If it hits him in the arm, it's ruled out. And I do think it hits him in the arm. It's, you know, a good ball in from James Ward-Prowse. Mavropanos does really well to get a foot on it, put towards the Villa goal. It sort of bounces around a little bit, doesn't it? It comes down, hits Souček on the arm. Might hit Jared Bowen on the arm as well. I don't know, but it looks like it hits Souček on the arm and then goes in. It's frustrating, but I think it hit him in the arm. I think it was correct to be ruled out. And it pains me to say that because I thought it was in and I was celebrating us winning the game in the last minute. I just thought, 2-1 against a really good side, a point behind Man U in the league, who's 6th, fantastic. But the more I watched it back, the more I thought it was handball. Now, there's 2 angles. There's the one from the west stand, which is the side-on one where the dugouts are. You can't tell it hit Souček on the arm there. You can tell it hit someone somewhere, but you can't tell. But the one from behind the goal where the post is in the way, to me, it looks like it hit Souček on the arm because of the movement of the ball and the movement of Souček's arm. I genuinely, hand on heart, thought it was a handball. I'll be honest with you. I did. It's frustrating. It might have been undeserved if we pinched it at the end there. It is incredibly frustrating. But if it was down the other end of the pitch, and this is always my rule of thumb when it comes to penalty decisions, etc., if that went against West Ham, how would I feel? I'd have been livid if that was against us and it stood, because I'd have been sat here going, that clearly hits him on the arm. It has to get disallowed. Doesn't mean I agree with the ruling, but that is the rules. If it hits the hand, it's goal disallowed. Frustrating. So it finished 1-1. Like I said at the start of the video, have you offered me a point before the start of the game and I've taken it? Happy days, thank you very much. But after watching the first half of football, I would never have taken a point at the end of the game. And I was very disappointed at how the second half went. I think Villa cranked it up and Emery made a lot of changes, and I don't think we had any response to it. And I think that's when you see how weak our bench was. There was no real change that we could do in terms of the attacking side of the game. Could he have taken George Earthy on? I think it would have been a massive call to bring him on. It wasn't the right game for Danny Ings, so he took on Ben Johnson. But as soon as we were already struggling prior to Antonio going off, it's not like Antonio went off and that was it. Our attack was dead. We were already struggling to get the ball up to Antonio and keep it up that end of the pitch. The defence was under constant pressure in the second half, but once Antonio went off, we had very little. A couple of runs from Kudus and Bowen, and James Ward-Prowse big chance, wasn't it? Big chance. Cut back from Bowen, makes the run, gives it to Kudus. He continues the run, does well against Konsa, cuts back toward Prowse. It's a really good block by Michail. And we had a lot of that defending to do ourselves. Zaniolo, Konsa, Douglas Luiz all having efforts blocked by our defenders, throwing themselves in the way of it. Ariel had a couple of smart saves. But I think a draw is fair. I do think a draw is fair because of how the first half went and then how the second half went. Like I said, I think it was a game of two halves. Individual performers for West Ham. I think Alvarez was absolutely fantastic. I thought Antonio was really good for us as well. Defensively, we were better than what we have been. I just think as the game got stretched in the second half, it started to suit Aston Villa a lot more than it did us. I think Sufal had a really good game at right back as well. I thought Emerson struggled. Not that he had a bad one, but I think you could tell he wasn't 100% fit. And then obviously Creswell came on to replace him. I think Bowen and Kudus had moments. Paqueta was a joy to watch in the first half, but I thought he faded badly and quickly in the second half, especially. And like I said, I wouldn't say he's at fault per se for the equalizer, but it's a very cheap bit of possession to give away, especially when you consider the context of the game, which is we're under the cosh. We've barely got any possession. Just pass it around and keep it West Ham for a few minutes and just try and kill the tempo of the game, not to rush across. And it was a very optimistic cross as well from Paqueta. I guess to some extent I'm pleased with the draw, but at the same time I'm not. I'd be lying if I said I'm delighted with it. I thought I would have been, but the way the game played out, it's 2 points dropped from us, and the referee blowing his whistle for that one that Kudus had in the back of the net is just beyond me. I just don't get it. I don't like it at all. The two handball ones, no complaints. I think it hit both Antonio and Souček's hands or arms, so I can't have too much complaints. That's the rules. Anyway, I'm going to shut up and disappear, but that's my review of the game. Some good performances from West Ham. I think the first half we were excellent. Second half, not so much. A point, I think, at the end of the game was probably an even the correct result. I imagine most managers will be happy. Moyes maybe not so much given what happened at the end there, but I'd imagine Emery will be pleased to get out of there with a draw. And I think Moyes, if you asked him in the 95th minute before that chaos happened on the Villa goal line, I think Moyes would have been happy with a point as well. Moving into the international break, better from West Ham over the last few games, but plenty of content coming up where we'll be taking a look at the bigger picture. We're at the business end of the season now. We're in with a shout of European football next season. It'll take a big few games and performances, but we're going to have to do it without Edson Alvarez for two of them, which is really disappointing. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, please do drop a like, comment by clicking thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'll catch you in a bit.